speaking of, a second ago, rest in peace to Nip. You had Cowboy on the show.
Yep.
And he talked about the last moments. What was that like for you?
That was just a heavy fucking interview in general, and like somebody that I'm surprised he hadn't done an interview earlier because he was part of so much big shit. But I mean, he just told me so much real shit. Like in particular, the stuff that really stood out to me was like the shit about how Nip, even when he was smoking dope, like Nip he would like give him money to like, you know, or like let him sleep on the couch for a couple of days to get clean and shit like that, because he like knew him before anything.
Yeah.
So I don't know but that was definitely one of the most powerful interviews. And when he told me that he stopped smoking dope because of his kids, that fucking got to me. Like he was really like made it clear, like, no, I love getting fucked up, but I stopped because of my kids. And that just like, I don't know, it just kind of hit me.
Yeah. Damn.
Were you a parent at that time?
Yeah, that was like a month ago.
Yeah, that was like a month ago.
Yeah.
Man, do you believe that there's actually a tape on it?
Nah.
You don't believe it?
Nah, I choose not to believe it. I haven't really thought about it that much, but you know, obviously even if there was, and if it were to come out, it would be just such a distasteful thing for LA to even have to deal with, you know? I feel like it's like, there's just certain things that are just ugly realities. Like, I remember Vlad hit me after, like when, in the 2020 protests type shit. And he just goes, you know George Floyd had a sex tape? Or did porn, specifically? And I go, yeah, I saw it, and I'm not posting it. And he goes, me neither. And I was just like...
Somebody brought that to you?
I mean, it was going around on Twitter. Like, I saw a lot of people talking about it. But not that many people in comparison to how crazy that is, that George Floyd did a porno. But I just thought that was like an interesting one where me and Vlad both had the automatic reaction of like, we're not talking about that. It's just too distasteful, even if it's true, you know?
Right.
So you do have a moral, there is a moral compass in there that'll stop you from, because that probably could have got you a whole bunch of hits if you did something with it.
But I mean, to be fair, I feel like almost nobody posted about it. I didn't even see all these other blogs and shit. I didn't see World Star posting about it. That felt like a weird moment of a culture, not a culture, but it's like a world that is relatively fucking tasteless in what we will consume and talk about, where everybody just seemed to like kind of just draw the line right there. Like, all right, we're not gonna talk about this, yeah. It definitely wasn't the time.
You still haven't.
What?
You still haven't. You probably won't.
What?
Yeah.
See?
What's there to say about it? I mean, even when I think I saw an interview with one of his family members where they'd said that it was like he was down on his luck, like did it one time, and it wasn't like he did it a bunch. Just like needed some bread one time or something.
Yeah, but people who are doing things for, on both sides of that, people who are doing things for money don't necessarily care the reason behind. You know what I mean? If I was so inclined to think that posting this is gonna make me a bunch of money, why he did it when really who cares? You know what I mean? Like who cares? I can get a bunch of bread if I post this. That's where the moral compass comes in. That was the discussion we had earlier.
So what is the moral code? What is the code that YouTubers, interviewers, what are the things that we should just leave the fuck alone?
Because porn is on the table.
Yeah, you can talk about porn.
Yeah, porn is on the table.
But if it's porn with a person who has recently been the victim of, been murdered by a police officer, and there's a national outrage or like furor going on, yeah, that definitely seemed like one to maybe leave out. I mean, I don't think that we should talk about I don't think we should bring things to the table that can be used to implicate people in crimes. Now, obviously, that's going to be a blurry line because sometimes people are going to come in here and say something that seems pretty fucking innocuous, and then it's going to be, you know, which has happened very little to my knowledge. Like Vlad always makes the point of when AR Ab went down, there was like an interview clip they used against him, but it wasn't from a Vlad interview. Right. To my knowledge.
And they were actually trying to get footage from him. Yeah. And he lawyered up and said no.
Have they ever tried to get footage from you?
No.
No.
You have so many interviews, so millions of hits.
And very little that hasn't ran, you know? Like there's a few times here and there that somebody will hit me up and be like, yo, can you take this out before you make it live? But that's not that often. And we do it if it makes sense. I mean, a lot of times it's the dumbest shit ever that they want taken out. They'll like say a famous actress is hot, and then they'll be like, oh, my girl gonna get mad at me. Can you delete that? And I'm like,
Really?
Yeah, that
fuck, man.
Who did that?
I can't remember. But you know what? All right, here's one that is probably not going to be the kind of thing that we're going to have to deal with that much. But I remember back in the day, like Gawker.com was like a popular like fucking media news blog or whatever. And they would out people, like famous tech executives and celebrities and shit. They would like out them as gay. And I feel like that looks really bad in retrospect because everybody kind of has realized like, oh, if somebody's gay, like, let's let them do whatever, which I think you see in rap all the time because there's tons of people who are not tons, but there's people who are rumored to be gay in rap.
Right.
And you don't really see people talk about it. And even like the rappers who I know have been accused by like a ton of transvestites of fucking them, it's like people don't really talk about it that much because I think people like at least kind of have a sense of like
what
that
you
should
do,
be
what
left
you
alone.
doing? Yeah, like that's your private
Which
thing.
I think
mean,
that's good.
I asked Joe Budden if he was bisexual, and he kind of bugged out about it.
Because there was that day where we all thought he was bisexual.
Right, exactly, exactly. I'm alone on this? Really?
That's Mecca's man.
We were all talking about it in the office, like, damn,
Joe?
Yeah, Joe, not Joe.
Who the fuck? What? Like, we're all like,
But he you know, he said I was very insensitive, and then he turned around and asked
Isaiah Rashad.
the same question.
Straight up. No filter, no nothing. Just straight up.
What's up with you, Joe?
He's asking the right question. He's asking what people want to know, and he also
That's the
knows
right question to ask?
I saw something.
we're talking about it, ain't we?
So you would ask
Yeah,
that question?
that was just really strange.
No, the fact that we're discussing it means it was the right question.
No, what
Him
happened?
being able to answer it the right way for him when we ask the question is the other side of the coin.
See, what I didn't like is the answer he gave to Math. Now in the same space,
He does the same thing.
you asked Isaiah,
Yeah,
why
no.
is that on the table? If
Because-
you went through that whole tirade with Math to say that shouldn't kind of like
Because
be a question to ask.
because Isaiah has spoken openly about it before. It's never been an accusation.
So then he don't need to ask him that question then.
No. He said on the show.
So-
he only did the interview because everybody saw him fucking two dudes.
Right.
Like, of course you got to talk about it. I can
Welcome to
understand
the
him.
life.
I can understand him taking issue with Matt saying it, even though I don't see why that's like a big
Because
deal.
he said it on his show.
Yeah.
To
But,
the public.
I mean, at least it kind of makes sense to give Matt shit about it. Like, why would anyone care if I was bi? Which is like, well, it is an interview. I mean, if you're bi, that's pretty
like, dude,
interesting, right?
You always ask the question. The answer is out of your control. You
Right.
should always ask the question.
He could have said no
Right.
and just stared at you.
Now,
That
he
would've
left it
been kinda
really
funny.
inconspicuous.
Which is A, funnier, and B, gonna go further. Like, if you just say no, then it's just no, and then everybody moves on. If you leave it where it
He
is,
said it wasn't my job to yank him out of the gun.
that was fucking funny.
Yeah, it was jokes. It was jokes.
That was funny.
Yeah, shout out to Joe. He's strange, bro. But
You know,
It's Hoffa, trapper turn smack rapper. Only smack rapper that you know is smack rappers. Got bars I can hang with the backpackers. Trap star, I don't hang with the backpackers. I'm in the hood with the work you heard. Making fiends leave earth you heard. Got your baby mama thirst you heard. Feel the flow, nigga, throw it in reverse. This the wave you need to surf you heard.